our town administrator this afternoon, and we have some interesting planking that's starting to pop up on the pier.
It's only because all the pipes rotted away.
Well, that's certainly a factor. No question about that. Hi, Patty.
Hi, Rob. How are you?
Good evening. I'm well. Patrick, good to see you.
Hi, Rob. Hi, Patty.
Hello, everyone.
We're just about there. We've got the quorum all set up to go. There it is. Okay. So it is Wednesday, June 17th, 2026. The time is 6:30 p.m. And I hereby call this meeting of the Nahant Select Board to order. First off, our opening comments, and I will announce that the Nahant Town Hall is closed on June 19th, 2026, in observance of the Juneteenth holiday. We still have no dogs on the beaches. That runs from May 1st through September 30th each year, except on Doggy Beach. Resident parking stickers are available for purchase at nahant.org. A census must be completed and all bills due to the town must be paid before purchasing. Stickers purchased between March 1st to June 30th are $15, so you better hurry because they go up to $20 on July 1st. Annual dog licenses were due back to the town clerk by April 1st, 2026. Any licenses submitted after April 1st will be charged a $20 late fee. Metal, white goods, and TV recycling is still on the last Saturday of each month through October 31st from 8 a.m. noon to noon. Behind the DPW garage, there are certain fees that will apply. Visit nahant.org for more information. The compost area is open on Wednesdays and Saturdays from 9 to 3, beginning on April 4th, so we're wide open and for business. Visit nahant.org for a full list of accepted material. A resident sticker is required. We have a special town election on Wednesday, June 24th, 2026 at Nahant Town Hall, 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Visit the special election page at nahant.org for more information. There is a summer solstice sunrise ceremony on Sunday, June 21st, 2026 at 3:45 a.m. at East Point and Canoe Beach. Our Market by the Sea is happening on Saturdays. We have one on June 27th, July 18th, August 15th, and September 12th at 10 a.m. at Flash Road Park. Please visit the market page at nahant.org or email ktaylor@nahant.org for more information. We have the Good Hope Running and Walking 5K on Saturday, June 27th, 2026, beginning at 9 a.m. at Lowlands. For more information, please visit the community calendar at nahant.org. We have July 3rd and July 4th events. We have an update available on nahant.org for a full list of events in July. I assume that probably also includes the Tall Ships event on July 10th. New business. We have a vote to approve select board meeting minutes, and I will move that the select board vote to approve the select board meeting minutes from April 15th, 2026. Pat, do I have a second?
Second.
Uh, Discussion? Roll call vote.
Pat O'Reilly, aye.
Rob Tibbo, aye. And now we have I will move the select board vote to approve the select board meeting minutes from May 6th, 2026. Do I have a second?
You have a second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote.
Petty Karas, aye.
Pat O'Reilly, aye.
And Rob Tibbo, aye. We have a vote to appoint a new harbor master, and I will move the select board vote to approve Mariana Raworth as the new harbor master for a probationary period effective July 1st, 2026 until January 1st, 2027. Do I have a second?
You have a
Second.
second. Oh, and a third.
I beat you that time.
Tie goes to the runner. Discussion. Okay, I'm going to have a few things to say here. One is that this is a difficult move for me. I've held a position for quite some time. And I am concerned that we have the right person in the job going forward, and I believe we have a good shot at that. I very much support the probationary period, but I do believe that the 6-month probationary period is somewhat light because basically there's not much to do after October. So there's going to be a couple months there that literally where there's nothing to evaluate, there's nothing to do. That continues right into May of next year. So I am going to make a motion that we extend the probationary period to June 30th, 2027. Do I have a second?
You have a second. That makes sense.
Okay, discussion of that? Okay, I will offer something here too. The spring is the single most busy time for the Nahant Harbor Master. Boats are being launched, moorings are being serviced, buoys are being set. There's all sorts of phone calls as far as trying to locate missing moorings. There's situations on how to set moorings, build moorings, all sorts of things. So this is the type of test that I want to see happen. I want to make sure that before we go forward, we've seen our new harbor master take on all of these responsibilities. So,
Good long transition period. I like it.
oh,
Makes sense.
thank you. Good. Let's see. We have a second. We have a discussion. A roll call vote.
Patty Carasai.
Pat O'Reilly, aye.
And Rob Thibault, aye. That moves us back to the main motion with the amendment. Yes, with no further discussion as far as Mariana Raworth being appointed to the position, I will ask for a roll call vote.
Patty Carasai.
Pat O'Reilly, aye.
And Rob Thibault, aye. And we move forward. Looks like Allison is going to talk a little bit about 47 Little Nahant Road.
I'm actually going to defer to Dan to talk about it.
Even better.
So he's just joined us. Dan?
So we were in court literally a week from today, and we got a preliminary injunction preventing 47 Little Hot Road to be used as a short-term rental operation. And that went into effect on Monday morning because the judge had the courtesy of allowing any ongoing rentals for the weekend to continue, which was courteous of her. But from Monday morning on, there's no more short-term rentals there. Now, that being said, I know there's still activity there. We're monitoring it, and we're going to assess our situation next week to see if there's any sort of decision to move forward at that point. So at this point, we're in sort of a holding pattern, if you will. And that's all I got to say. That just that.
Okay. Well, thank you, Dan. Sounds like we're doing everything that we can.
Yep.
I
just
can't
wanna
imagine what else
say,
we could
Dan,
do.
Yeah, Dan did a lot of work in leading up to the court hearing, as well as our building commissioner and building department. So I think that we obviously had a lot of evidence that was presented, and the judge did rule in the town's favor. So
Yeah, it's a mini trial. These things are taken very seriously by the court. They don't like to tell people what to do or not to do. So it's a mini trial. We put up arguments, motions, 2 witnesses, and the judge made her decision. And there we are. So we're in a good spot moving forward.
Okay. Well, thank you, Dan. Anything further, Patty?
Dan, I'm just curious what happens if they don't abide and they continue to rent.
When we file a motion with the court to seek sanctions, which is a penalty, the financial penalty, and immediate evacuation of the property. That's what we would do if we believe they are violating the order. Now, I can say to you that there are still people there. I've been in touch with the attorney regarding that issue, and we're trying to work it out. So nothing will be happening until next week, if anything at all. Hopefully nothing. I mean, hopefully we can resolve the whole issue and move forward. But there are still some activity there that we're monitoring at the moment.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank
Anything
you.
further? Pat, you all set?
I'm all set. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Okay, so that brings us to a review and vote on the parking policy. Um, let's just get it started here. We all have copies. I'll move the select board vote to approve and implement the parking policy as presented. Do I have a second?
Seconded.
All right, discussion.
Yeah, so I was asked to draft this, and it's gone through a few iterations now. I presented something at the last board meeting. And then it was asked, it was brought up, well, what about visitor parking or guest parking? So I added in, after speaking with the chief, I added in a sentence about that, you know, if a resident is having a visitor come, that they should be contacting the police department, and they'll oblige when, you know, if feasible. And that's what they've historically practiced. So I've just added that into the policy. I don't know if there's any, you want to have any further discussion?
I do. Thank you, Allison. I really appreciate that, but I think we need to expand upon guest parking. I can't imagine inundating the police department if someone just wants to have a guest at their home. I can understand it if it's an event, right? That's a lot of cars. But if a parent wants to come visit you, or a sibling, or a friend, I think it's insane that we have to contact the police department. And I would hazard to guess that they wouldn't be too happy with that either. I really think we need to have clear guidelines. And I think we also need to incorporate this transferability issue, which I think really isn't a transferability issue, but more of an issue of child care, elder care, home health care providers. Can they get parking passes and guest passes even at a cost annually? There's a lot to discuss here.
Pat, yeah, can I chime in?
Yeah,
Sure.
absolutely, yes.
Yeah, no, I agree. There's a lot to discuss, and I think the ask here, or the goal, at least in my mind, was to document the existing policies in this first go around, because looking at the discussions around town on Facebook and the comments over email that we've gotten, people were pointing out inconsistencies in the language on the website. Going back, we really couldn't find any meeting minutes, or they were too far back to find about any official policies that were implemented, at least at the select board level. So I think of this as just a documenting uh, what we understand as the existing policies de facto in the town as have been operated. And I think even this, pulling this together, has been, it's taken some effort to just pull this. What is your understanding of the current policy, and putting it in writing? So I would be in favor of putting this out there just to document the existing policy, and then as asked of us by town meeting, to put together the parking committee so that they can actually tackle this issue. I think really on a street by street, we have 100 streets in town, and each one has different parking scenarios, and some have no parking, some have plenty of parking, some have very limited parking. And really, I think, letting, on some streets, it's just not appropriate to have parking, and those are marked. Some streets are resident only because there are limitations on parking. And I think that's where we really need to consider, um, how much parking is available, how much excess parking could be used for guest parking and visitor parking, and do we want to have a inventory of those so that either upfront people are issued guest passes for those streets, but not on others. I think we just have to have an understanding of how many extra parking spaces there are.
I agree with you, Pat. I just don't want this parking policy as is to be what people think is the policy. And I certainly wouldn't want certain things enforced the way it's written.
I, I agree with you both. I also believe that, as Pat has said, our effort for tonight was to understand what we're saying that we're doing, what we're actually doing, and getting that into writing, so that we have at least that baseline as a statement. Uh, I feel a significant degree of urgency is really here to tailor this to what the town actually needs. Everything that you've said, Patty, you bring up some excellent points, and they all need to be addressed. And we talk about this committee that we've been charged to form. And we really need to get that into high gear. I don't know if we can put a timeline on it. Allison, chime in here anywhere as far as how quickly you think that we could get something moving on this. I don't know how the committee would be made up. I'm sure that we would have, our police and fire would be involved, DPW, and at least a couple of residents. But how quickly can we start meeting? Because the due date is here as far as, summer parking. This is when it all hits.
Yeah.
And we need to get the new policy fleshed out and published very quickly. Allison, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think we could get a committee together depending upon, I think that it's up to the board on who you want to have serve on the committee at town meeting. When this was being discussed, I just rewatched it today to see what their recommendation was for who made up the committee. And it was definitely the police chief, a select board member, and then the rest just said select board appointed residents. I think the fire chief needs to be involved, and the DPW director needs to be involved. I think I need to be involved.
Yes.
And then I would like to have at least a resident involved too. I actually have had someone volunteer if this happens. So I think getting the committee together, we could do relatively quickly in terms of meeting and drafting a policy, particularly with the guest parking, issue. I think it's going to take a little bit, to be honest. I don't think it's going to be something that we're going to have in place for this summer. And we are into the summer already. I
Allison,
don't, that's how I feel.
do you think we could parse it out, and basically, like, maybe we focus right off the bat, on guest parking, parking for health aides and that sort of thing. I think we should try to get those pieces out of the way first and as quickly as possible, because they have the greatest interruption, as far as people's day-to-day lives.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh, another member that should be on the committee is the parking clerk as well.
okay, that's all good.
So she should be one that should be on there.
You're right there. I would love to be able to say that we could at least pick out a piece that's most urgent for our summer parking season, or pieces. See if we can't get something together there. Do you think that would be possible?
Yeah, I think if the board appoints a committee, if you want to do that today, I could get a meeting on the schedule and we could focus on the guest parking piece first, if that's what we want the focus to be on.
Okay. So we've got a motion on the table as far as basically agreeing that what you have put together, Allison, is what we are currently doing.
Mhm.
So we can do that. Are we comfortable at this point, as far as, since it's not really on the agenda, are we okay taking that next step to authorize the appointment of committee members so that we could get that going right off the bat?
Yeah, I guess that would be a Dan question for me. it's not on the agenda. However, it is related to this issue.
What we're talking about, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me take a quick look at my notes here. So the agenda item reads review and vote on parking policy.
Mhm.
And so that motion was made, and now the amendment is just to be clear, clarify that what the amendment is, or at least the change to that.
I don't know that it's an amendment,
Yeah.
Dan. I think it was just, yeah, can we give the authorization to form the committee? Say we finish our vote as far as approving what we have in front of us.
Well,
Yeah.
what about just amending it to say something to the effect of refer questions on guest parking and other parking changes to committee? So adopt,
Okay,
yeah.
that sounds good.
With that, I mean, it's within the ambit of the article of the agenda item.
Mhm.
I think no one would see these minutes a day later and say, "Oh my goodness, how could they vote on that based on this agenda item?" So I'm okay with that. That's fine.
The only question, are we just saying Allison shall appoint the committee as discussed here? Because we don't have all
Yeah,
the names essentially right now.
that's fine.
Yeah, we're
That's
just
fine.
empowering to move forward with the appointments.
Yeah, and
Okay.
the meeting will reflect the discussion, so that's perfectly fine.
Which one of us wants to serve on the parking committee?
I'm happy to do so.
I'm happy to have you do so. I was
Okay.
imagining driving around every street
Diplomatic.
with a clipboard. Well, I might do that anyway, but
Yeah, no, I'm thrilled. I'm very happy with that too, Patty. I appreciate you stepping up on that one.
thank you.
Um, okay, so we need an amendment to the motion that we have on the floor. Um, so I will move that we further authorize the town administrator to begin appointments to a committee that will review and expand our existing parking policy.
And that committee was authorized by town meeting, right, Mr.
Yes.
Chair?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, good.
It was, I
So,
think, requested by town meeting. Oh, yeah.
so we want to put that in there, the reference to town meeting?
It's already there in the minutes, so we're good.
Okay. All right. So can I get a second on the amendment?
You have a second?
All right. Any further discussion on that?
Sounds good.
So we'll go back to the original motion as amended, and we'll do a roll call vote.
Patty Karasai.
Pat O'Reilly, aye.
And Rob Tibble, aye. Well, that brings us to a right-of-ways discussion.
Yeah, so I put this on the agenda. It was a while ago that the select board appointed a committee, a rights of way committee, to take a look at the rights of ways in Nahant. I met with that committee informally months ago. And then I've also had a few conversations with Dan. And in my conversations with Dan, I have found out that there's a number of rights of ways that individuals or residents think that the town owns, particularly in Little Nahant, that the town actually does not own. And so I wanted to, kind of talk about this and figure out what the next step forward is. I don't know if Dan and I probably need to sit down. I think Dan had documented, when Tony was here, I guess I walked a lot of the rights of ways. I need to understand better which ones are town owned and are not town owned. And then for the ones that are not town owned, is if there's a way that the town can gain ownership of them, I guess.
I can help with that,
Yeah.
Allison. Yeah, it's funny. My predecessor's file on this matter ended with basically a title search. I should say just before the title search. And I can see why now, because when we looked into that portion of it, we realized that most of those ways still belong to the Little Nahant Land Company, dating back to 1910-ish, when all this stuff was actually initially subdivided. So what we need to do is there are companies out there that will hunt down whoever is remaining of ancient corporations and LLCs and things like that. So I think we need to go down that path to secure ownership from them um, moving forward. It's not as easy as we thought it was going to be when Tony and I were looking into it, but after we dig a bit deeper, we realized that it's not so cut and dried. In Little Nahant, in Big Nahant, it's a little different. But Little Nahant is a little its own little fiefdom over there. So some more stuff needs to be done.
So
I have a
do we
couple of
have,
questions.
sorry, do we have like a map that lays out all the rights of ways and identifies which ones are town owned and not town owned?
We have a map that lays out all the ways, but no map that says these are or not town owned. I do know if you go on the GIS from Sheila's website, they do say town of Nahant as you look at them. But when you dig deeper, you realize, well, it's really not the town of Nahant. So you can't trust that, is what I'm saying. But we do have maps that show the rights of ways, yes.
A couple of questions. On the Little Nahant Land Corporate Company, is that any relationship to the Nahant or New Nahant Land Company that owns the country club?
I don't think so.
Okay,
I think the New Hotland Company is relatively young, 70, 60, something like that. The
right.
Little Hotland Company goes back to, Titanic era, back when, Fenway just opened, 2000, 1912. It's very, very old. But there are companies, like I said, that will go out and search for those legatees and those folks that are left of that company. And the idea is that we would then gain ownership from them. It's done a lot. My firm has done this in South Boston. We have these duplexes and triplexes that are owned by families from generations that have now scattered across the country. So
Right.
we hired a company to go look for all the legal errors and to sign off on clearing title for our client to just sell off the property. So it's sort of that sort of thing.
Could we consider, the second question I had was, can we consider just an eminent domain $1 taking to clear title at this point as a
I,
shortcut?
we can consider it, but I still think we need to know who the actual owners are and find those owners to compensate them for that $1, whatever it might be.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's absolutely consideration. Keep in mind this is a registered property, not recorded, which means registered property is much more formal.
Hmm.
It usually goes through a court process in terms of exchanges and things like that. So that makes things a little bit different. So when we consider prescriptive easements, that doesn't come into play here because it's a registered property. But yeah, we can consider it taking, but we'd still need to find out who actually owns the property. Another thing at play here is what they call the derelict fee statute, which is a lot of legal terms for just saying that once a street is abandoned, it doesn't automatically go back to the abutters. It goes back to the original owner who actually subdivided the property. So that's another just thing thrown in here to make this a bit more interesting, shall we say.
Yeah, I wanted to, talk about it because I've had several residents come to me, particularly about rights of ways in Little Nahant. And, some are mad about encroachment on them and they think they're owned by the town. Another notified me that there's a property for sale that abuts a right of way and they hope that this is a way a town can regain control of it. So there's, I think a number of residents are concerned about this and I want to continue to talk about it.
Oh yeah, and I would like to point out I did talk to Tony before he left last year on this, and because somebody had approached me on the Little Nahant rights of ways, and he did go. There are, I think, each right of way has its own unique issues, which I think the rights of way committee really needs to look at. Some of them have really been encroached upon and may not be practical to recover depending on what the town wants to do, I think. But Some are just maintenance issues that we can take care of, I think. And I'm told DPW traditionally maintains some of these rights of ways, regardless of ownership. So that I know the steps it was raised as an issue, as a safety issue, and those needed to be repaired. So I'm glad that's being taken care of. But um, seems like there's a lot of particular issues which with each of these that it really would be good to see the rights of way committee come up with a prioritized list of things that we can make actionable this year, whether it's an eminent domain or just a one or two takings. But if there's a list of Little Nahant Land Company properties that we can just deal with all at once, that would be, I think, ideal, assuming we can find an owner. I know the country club's hard enough to find all the owners.
Yeah, you can imagine how much harder the other one would be, but there's a solution to every problem, and we'll find it if it's out there.
Okay. That was my reason for putting this on the agenda today, just to discuss it again. And I think I'll follow up with Dan and so we can understand how to proceed.
And so the discussion is still alive. That's good. And you had mentioned that Zach was looking at the stairs over in Little Nahant that are having some wear and tear.
Yeah, so we were notified by residents of a staircase in Little Nahant that's very much deteriorated. When I sent it to Zach again, I'm like, I don't know if the town owns this right of way. Are you aware of this? And he said that they've historically maintained that staircase. He was unaware how badly it had deteriorated and that they'll work to fix it.
Excellent. Excellent. Anything further on our rights of way discussion?
Not from me.
So, is our trash going to be picked up in July, Allison?
But yeah, that's the next agenda item. So the last time we met, the board had asked me to go back to waste management in regards to a 1-year extension, see if there was any, they could provide us with any reduction in cost from the initial proposal that they provided. I did go back to waste management. They provided us a reduction in the curbside collection. However, what they haven't quoted directly in their price proposal to us is the fuel charge. And that is set according to an index. So my estimate is that the fuel charge will go up pretty much the same amount of the deduction that they gave us. So it'll be a net zero. In the end, waste management, we only got one proposal before from Capital. The waste management extension is still the better deal. And now we're running, very much up against the June 30th deadline. So the board gave me the authority to move ahead with the 1-year extension with waste management, which I've done. So our trash will continue to be picked up on July 1st. And then I've been charged with looking into doing an RFP in the fall timeframe to ask for proposals from companies for new multi-year contracts, which I will do.
Very good. Thank you so much for staying on top of that. That was a big one.
Yeah.
So that brings us to your report.
Yeah, so on the agenda is beach water quality testing. I guess the town administrator talks about that this time every year. So I actually didn't know too much about it. I know that we test, but basically the town tests beach water on a weekly basis. We test at Short, Tudor, Doggy, and 40 Steps Beach. If a result comes back with an exceedance of bacteria, we close that beach for swimming. Patty had asked me if we put up flags, and I said I didn't think so, but we do in fact put up flags if it's closed. We put up a red flag, and if you'll notice, Doggy Beach is in fact closed. That test came back high yesterday, and we've retested and we're waiting for the results. So when the bacteria is exceeding a certain level, we do put up a red flag to indicate that it's closed. We'll also update the town website. So if you go to nahant.org, right on the homepage, the upper right-hand corner, it has a list of the beaches and says which ones are open and closed. So if you were to look at that today, it does say that Doggy Beach is closed. There's also in the box, there's a link to the mass.gov website, which shows other beaches in the area, including Nahant Beach Reservation that the state tests. And so that's just, a little update that we do test all of our beaches those beaches that I listed on a weekly basis.
And I think you had mentioned that once they do reach a high level like Doggy Beach is, it will be tested daily until it drops.
Correct, until it's corrected.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right, good. Let's see, special town election discussion.
So this is the next big item that's coming up next Wednesday is special town election. I mentioned this at the last meeting. There's 2 questions on the ballot. Town hall will be open Wednesday, June 24th from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. for in-person voting. The first question is in regards to a $1 million operating override. I've set up a web page at nahant.org. If you go to nahant.org, at the top, there's a banner that you can click on. It's a link to all information regarding what the $1 million override entails, what it would mean in terms of the tax rate increase. We just added today a calculator that a resident can use. You can go on there, put in the assessed value of your home, and it'll calculate what your tax increase would be if the $1 million override does pass. So there's a bunch of good information on there. I encourage residents to go and read it and inform themselves, and then, come out to vote next Wednesday. The town sent out a mailer that residents have been receiving over the past few days. It's just a reminder about the special town election and the 2 questions that are on there. So the second question, again, is related to something that was passed at town meeting, and it's just changing the posting date of town meeting warrant from 14 days in advance to 7 days in advance. So it's a charter change that has to go to ballot. So since that was just passed at this recent town election, we're putting it, this recent town meeting, we're putting it on this election too. Last night, Chief Antrim did an information session just in regards to, he did a small presentation about what's included in terms of new fire personnel that's included in the override. I also chimed in for the individuals who are on there and just said, everything else that is incorporated into the override. It again includes, an increase in a full-time position in the school department. There's some operating budget increases throughout all departments for utilities. It's a transfer stabilization fund. Again, that's all on that the web page if you want to take it. So just trying to remind everyone and be vocal about coming out to vote. If you're not able to vote in person, you can contact the town clerk for an absentee ballot. You can also come and do an in-person absentee ballot. So there's a number of ways to participate, and I encourage everybody to do that.
Good. Good. And obviously you were describing an awful lot of the information that's available on the town website right now, as far as people being able to remind themselves and fully appreciate how much it would impact their own residents. And I guess I will encourage anyone with questions that they cannot answer based on that information to please call Allison, and
Yes.
I'm sure she'll have the answer immediately. And
Well, I don't know. I might not have the answer immediately, but
well, you know what? You seem to have a pretty good grasp on this whole thing, so I'm going to go with that.
No, I encourage people can call me, they can email
Yes.
me. I'm very responsive. If there is a question, I'm happy to answer it. I want everybody to have as much information as they possibly can.
Yeah,
So,
and it's important that we go to the right sources for the information, and that's great that we have you available to be able to help with that. Okay, so
I
if,
just have one other
oh,
update. It's not really on the agenda, but we can talk about it. I want to say that at our next meeting on July 1st, the board is meeting in person. So going forward, we had talked about this. We're going to have hybrid meetings. So the board itself will be meeting in person at town hall, but we'll still have the Zoom capability. So people are able to attend in person or attend via Zoom.
very good,
Mhm.
very good.
And that's all I have.
And that's all you have for now.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. All right, well, that brings us to citizens' comments. If a resident who is currently with us online would like to share their thoughts on an issue, then we welcome you to join. And I see that Mr. Fields I think, had his hand up first, so let's bring Mr. Fields in.
Great, thank you. Bob Fields, 324 Nahant Road, Nahant's Veteran Service Officer. Greetings from New Orleans, or Nolans, as they say here in Louisiana. Anyway, I wanted to just jump on the call and just give a quick Veteran Service Officer update. Allison gets the big one. She gets all of the stuff that's going on. But first, I'd just love to, thank you again for the opportunity to serve as the town's Veteran Service Officer, to the selectmen, to Allison. The town team has been fantastic, welcoming me and working with me, supporting with me. That's been awesome. But I'd also like to thank the residents of Nahant as well for their support. I do want to do a shout out for the residents participating in this past weekend's flag retirement program. You may or may not know, the American Legion donated a flag retirement box to the town that's currently sitting outside the town hall. With 2 weeks before flag retirement, they collected 104 flags at the town hall. So clearly there was a pent-up demand for that. And so then we retired probably about 300 flags, which took about an hour and a half to do as part of the ceremony with the community. And over 80 people, about 80 people were there on Short Beach to participate, young and old. So that was great. Again, it's an honor to serve. And I would like to just promote that the American Legion will be having a 250th birthday party for America on June 27th, which is Friday. And there will be music and food, but there'll also be a dramatic reading. Yes, a dramatic reading of the Declaration of Independence being coordinated by Town Moderator Peter Barber and Legion Commander Dennis Treese. So Peter's put a lot of work into this. He's got the readers practicing because it's going to be a dramatic reading. So I encourage everyone to attend. The public is invited. We'll get that information posted on nahant.org. It's on Facebook. But again, thank you for the opportunity. There is a lot of veterans work that has for years gone on behind the scenes, and I am now fully informed. Every day there's something new that comes up with a veteran in Nahant. So thank you for the opportunity to serve and your support.
Bob, I want to personally thank you for the energy and enthusiasm you've brought to the position. You've really been the person out front in assuming this role, and I think that you are a great representative, and our veterans really, I think, are going to be very well served by your efforts. So thank you.
No, I appreciate that. It's an honor. Thank you.
Okay.
Here, here.
So we have George Mahovan. George, what can we talk about?
Good evening. My name is George Mahovan. I live at 64 Lennox Road over here in Little Nahant. Two things. We were talking about the rights of ways. I don't know if Dan is aware of this, if anybody's aware of this. Massachusetts has I call it a handbook, but it's got an awful lot of pages called Preserving Historic Rights of Ways to the Sea on vacoastalwilds.com. It's got a lot of information about rights of ways, how to preserve them, talks about easements and so on and so forth. So I don't know, excuse me, Dan knows anything about that, but I think that'll be helpful in the rights of ways. And speaking of rights of ways, the one up that's really near and dear to me is the one up at what Little Nahat calls our East Point. It's the where Wilson Road and Little Nahat Road meet together. There's a right away up there that's been in bone contention for quite a while. I was going to say something about an easement up there, but excuse me, Dan Script said something about it being in the deed or something like that. So maybe you can't use an easement. But I do believe there's a not a sewer, but a water drain, catch basin up there, right at the property line, right in the middle of the what we call the right of way, and it goes down through the two properties. So if it can't be proven that it's a right of way, can't we prove that it's an easement? And the easement basically is the same thing as a right of way. We have a pipe that goes down there to take the rainwater and bring it out to the ocean. So I wanted to mention that so we could look into that and maybe use that as ammunition instead of trying to take it from eminent domain or whatever. Because we have an easement there, then that kind of solves all the problems for that particular right of way. But again, I just wanted to mention about this book. It's got so many pages. I've been reading it, and it can get very confusing for the layman. So, and then the other thing, I'm sorry I didn't get on here earlier at 6:30, but I was having a hard time getting on here through Zoom. But so I didn't know if you guys talked about 47 Little Nahant Road. And if you did, could you catch me up on it? If you didn't, could you speak about it? Because I know it was on the agenda. So basically, that's it right now. Thank you.
All right, George. Well, thank you for your information as far as rights of way. I think that could be very useful. I don't know if Dan is aware of that manual that you
No,
have.
I'm not. If George could send me that document, it'd be very helpful.
Well, I don't know if I can
Or
send
send it
it.
to Allison or whomever.
Hang on for a second. Hang on. I don't know if I can send it to you, Dan. I'm not very good on the computer rather than looking stuff up. And a lot of times I forget how I got to where I got to find this stuff. But I did write down the web page or whatever you want to call it, vacoastalwilds.com, VACOASTALWILDS.com. That's where I found it, and it's a Massachusetts handbook for the preservation of historical rights of ways to the sea, and that's what basically all these rights of ways are, is a way to get down to the ocean. Back when I was growing up, back in the 60s and 70s, most of the property owners around the rocks in the heart didn't mind you cutting through their yards to get down to the rocks and play, because we all played on the rocks when we were kids. And then if you get older, we went down fishing and so on and so forth. Nowadays, there's no trespassing signs all over the place. They got them on the rocks. They got this, they got that. So, excuse me, it's a lot more difficult to get to these places, and it's a very good thing for the people not to have these. It's a great place to go fishing. It's a great place to bring your children to see the ocean, because especially over here in Little Nahat, there's so many houses together. You drive by nowadays, you can't see the ocean, but for the trees, basically, but for the houses, it's everybody's built up and added on and so on and so forth. It's very hard to see the ocean riding around. So having the right of way down to the ocean would be a great thing for everybody in the Nahat. And then again, like I said, I'd like to hear about what's going on with 47 Little Nahat Road, if you have any information
George,
on that.
repeat that website again.
Yeah, it's a
please.
VA Coastal, VACOASTAL Wiles.com is what I took off the computer.
I
George-
found it, Dan. I can send it to
Okay.
you.
Yeah, please.
And I
thanks.
apologize
Okay.
for not being able to send all the stuff over the computer, but I'm very computer illiterate when it comes to sending
That's okay.
information.
No,
But I can
no
find it,
problem
but
there
I
at all,
just don't know how
George.
to send it to people. So again, I'm glad you guys haven't not dropped the ball, but haven't forgotten about the rights of ways. And I do believe that the town steps that you're talking about is a bona fide right of way in the heart, and it is really fallen into disrepair over the years, and something needs to be done with it, because it is one of the most used rights of ways in Little Nahat to get us from the top of Little Nahat down to Wilson Road. So that'd be nice
We're,
if the town could.
we're on it, George, and
Okay.
thank you for the information. As far as 47 Little Nahat Road is concerned, I don't see a complete review second time on this, but I think, Dan, you mentioned that the courts we have an injunction on the property as it is right now.
We do. We have an injunction that lasts until November, prohibiting them from operating it as a short-term rental.
Okay, so that's where we are, George.
Well, my question would be, what do you do? Because I drove by there today and there's cars parked in their yards that don't belong there. So I mean, what does the injunction mean?
Yeah, I think Dan is working on that with the attorney for the owners of 47 Little Nahat Road, and obviously it'll be worked out in the courts also.
And is there any time frame for any of this?
If anything that goes to the courts, George, they have their own clock. We
Yeah,
we really
they,
can't. We
as
really can't.
My friend Jackie Sherry would say, they move at a glacial pace. I get it.
Yeah, yes, that's. I think that's probably fair.
All right.
All
Well,
right,
thank you
George.
very much for the information and keep up the good work, please.
Thank you, George. And it looks like that is it for public comment. So I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So
Motion
moved.
to adjourn meeting.
Do I have a second?
Seconded.
All right. Roll call vote.
Patty Karas, aye.
Pat O'Reilly, aye.
And Rob Tibbo, aye. Thank you so much, everyone. Good night.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good night.